Hey everybody, it's Elijah Anderson again, and with me is a guest today, my friend Rebekah Marquis, and you can probably follow her on Twitter or something if you're interested in what she has to do. And today, with the celebration of Endgame coming out, we're just going to be talking about how we felt about the previous Marvel films. We're not going to be ranking them. We're going to be going in order as they came out, and we're going to start with Iron Man, which I thought was pretty cool when it first came out. I mean, my brother and I were like
really
big
is.
into Power Rangers and stuff, and that kind of took us from Power Rangers to all the Marvel stuff.
And I know when I was younger and it first came out, I wasn't super familiar with Iron Man, so it was a wonderful kind of introduction into the Avengers concept and a bunch of the different people in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
I was more familiar with DC because of DC shows and stuff growing up, and it was really great. Like the quality of it, I enjoyed it a lot. I think many people, they got it right and they managed to hook a really large audience.
Yeah. And the thing is, Iron Man wasn't that popular of a character when this first came out. Like,
I know, and look at him now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, people knew who he was, definitely. But if you ask just some random Joe on the street, what's his origin story? Who are his like big bad guys and stuff? They'd be like, I don't know, So but I mean, watching it again nowadays, there are some problems. Like Ironmonger feels kind of forced into the story. Like I feel like it kind of runs out of gas after he goes to Gomera, and it just kind of. Yeah, Ironmonger just feels kind of forced. And part of the reason for that is that Ironmonger was meant to be the Crimson Dynamo. And in this book, like I have right here, this is a really good book. This is, if you look at some earlier designs, he was supposed to be more designed like one of Iron Man's earlier enemies, the Crimson Dynamo. In fact, with this final suit design, he still has this mask design, and Crimson Dynamo is one of Iron Man's like earliest enemies. Like
I didn't realize that's
yeah,
who he was based on.
yeah. And so and apparently this whole movie kind of was made by the seat of its pants. They started shooting without a complete script. Jeff Bridges, who played Ironmonger, said it's kind of like working on a $200 million student film. And it kind of works for the first two acts because the first two acts are surprisingly character introspective but where it stops working again is the third act. And but it's still a pretty good movie. Still really good. It's really fun. I love...
Fantastic. Like, definitely, yes. Especially, I think it really served its purpose as one of those, like, kind of blockbustery films that really were introducing this character that not a lot of people knew about as this super snarky guy that a lot of people could relate to and really like and get into it. It was their hook, line, and sinker, pretty much. So even though it was a little bit by the seat of their pants, I think they really really got it with his characterization, his snarky, reaching out to the audience and really managing to reach the level that people wanted with humor and with, a lot of different things.
Yeah, and after that comes the Incredible Hulk, and I think a lot of people have just kind of forgotten about this movie ever since Mark Ruffalo. I mean, you haven't, but I think the general public has just kind of forgotten about it because of how Mark Ruffalo was able to sort of make the character his own, but I still really enjoy The Incredible Hulk.
I did too. Honestly, it was a pretty good film. It wasn't like the most amazing film in the entire franchise,
I know.
But when I watched it, like it's one that I went back and I watched like at least 2 or 3 times over the years.
Yeah, it works as a good monster movie. The thing is, Edward Norton was obviously recast in the role, and part of the reason is because, well, one, on his end, he didn't want to just be associated with playing the Hulk, because when you sign up to play like one of these superhero roles, you're basically signing over a huge chunk of your career where you're only associated with that one character, and he wasn't really into that. Plus, apparently, Edward Norton is notorious for being difficult to work with. He was rewriting the script when he came on. Like, he added in that scene where Bruce Banner is using the flower to try and find a cure for the Hulk. He added in that scene, and also the idea of emailing the Samuel Stearns in New York. So that's all his stuff. But he didn't. But he didn't really add enough to get a screenwriter credit. And yeah, he's still apparently taking pot shots at the script, but I still think it's a fun movie. Personally, my favorite Hulk movie is always going to be that 2003 Hulk movie that came out.
I love that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
because I love it because of what a bizarre art house superhero movie it is, and just how strange it is. And I mean, I don't think it totally works as a movie, but I still think it's really interesting.
It's fun and different.
Yeah, not fun is not a word I would use.
I thought it was fun. I was always a Hulk person, so for me, I was always like, oh yeah, like this is fantastic, and I really liked it. Also, I was a kid, so maybe I was a little bit skewed. Maybe so. Yeah, but yeah, Incredible Hulk, and then we go a year without Marvel. Then we have Iron Man 2, which that whole by the seat of the pants thing really feels more present this way, because this movie just is not one of my... I like it, but it's not great. It just kind of feels like things are going along and they're just making stuff up as they go along. Like a filler type of thing until they got to the important ones.
And nothing is really achieved in Iron Man 2. Like, I guess Tony Stark finds a new... I mean, I know he finds a substitute for his heart, but that's not really all that important. And Mickey Rourke was famously pissed at this movie and how it turned out, because he worked so hard to try and turn the bad guy into such a three-dimensional character, but they just left most of his performance on the cutting room floor. And apparently, like I said, this movie also went into production without a complete script, and apparently they really wanted to involve S.H.I.E.L.D. more in this and remind people, hey, Avengers, we're making the Avengers, because there's a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D. references in here. And a lot of things just sort of come into play, and nothing really goes anywhere. And
I think it really was a good introduction into the character Black Widow, and I think it served its purpose as like a filler half backstory kind of introduction like Black Widow into the MCU, because I know I, for one, hadn't really had a good grasp of, Black Widow before that came out and stuff like that, and that kind of piqued people's interest, because she was one of those people, or one of those characters that doesn't have a backstory movie. The Hulk had his movie, which is kind of its own little thing, and people knew about him, but with her, she was one of the only ones in the original Avengers one that didn't have her own backstory, and that was their way of kind of introducing, and like, she's this S.H.I.E.L.D. agent spy, you know what I mean? And so that when they kind of came all together, people had some kind of idea, instead of just being like, oh, and then here's the token woman.
When I heard ScarJo was cast in the role, I thought she was going to try and attempt a Russian accent, because up to that point, every iteration of Black Widow that I had seen had a Russian accent with it, but no, she doesn't even try, which I'm fine with.
Good on her.
Which I'm fine with. But plus, I don't know if she's wearing a wig in Iron Man 2. It kind of looks off, I mean, I don't know, but
I'm pretty sure.
After Iron Man 2, we get to Thor, which I actually really think is a fun movie. I really enjoy Thor.
The original Thor?
Yeah, the first Thor. Yeah, the first Thor. I think they made a good decision of bringing Kenneth Branagh on as the director, because he's a Shakespearean guy, and he directs a lot of Shakespeare plays. And the first Thor really does feel very Shakespearean in certain ways. Like, every actor in Asgard is taking it so uber seriously, and it's and I love how it just goes into straight up fantasy rather than sci-fi and stuff, and introducing the concept of gods and stuff into the Marvel universe. And the guy who played Loki was originally supposed to play Thor.
Really?
Yeah, if you go online, I'll put a link in the description. If you go online, there's a screen test for Tom Hiddleston, who has a blonde wig on, and he's holding the hammer. I have to see this. And he holds the hammer up as, and trying to scream like Thor. But and I think
I just imagine it with like a very polite British accent, though. He's like, tea with that?
Well, I think the problem is that even though Tom Hiddleston does look pretty good ripped, he's not really big enough to be Thor. He's a little too skinny.
You need to have a certain physical presence. Thor is the god of thunder, who's this big Asgardian warrior, and I think they did a fantastic job putting him in as Loki. He fits it to a T.
Yeah, I mean, I think my only problem with Thor is I'm not a huge Kat Denning person, honestly. Like Darcy, the character in Thor. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of her. I think she gets annoying sometimes, but
like, she was okay for her purpose, but the fact that she was kind of in and out and a little bit, she felt kind of like a little add-on to it.
And I can only listen
to an afterthought kind of thing.
And I can only listen to her mispronounce Mjolnir so long before I just want to strangle her. Honestly. Mew
Mew,
Mew.
mew,
What's
mew,
Mew
mew.
Mew? Yeah. It's like, are you talking about the thing? Or are you trying to imitate Mew from Pokemon?
That's what I was thinking.
yeah. But then after Thor comes Captain America, the first Avenger, which I love. I love retro superhero stuff, and
I love that movie.
yeah,
honestly.
I was really shocked when I heard that they cast Chris Evans as this, because up till that point I only knew him as
Human Torch.
From the Fantastic Four movie, which is nobody's favorite superhero movie, honestly.
That's
I mean,
true.
he was arguably
They tried.
Yeah, they really did. Arguably, I thought he was one of the better parts of that Fantastic Four movie. But I was surprised when I heard him cast, because even outside of his Fantastic Four stuff, he was mostly just cast as like the funny guy, you know. And
I think this was a wonderful evolution for him, not as an actor. You know what I mean? It kind of showed people that he had a greater depth to his personality beyond being the funny, jokey kind of guy.
And I love that they didn't try to include irony in this movie, like trying to make fun of Captain America as a character. They just presented him straight faced, and you know, like
They showed him as the hard worker, and they did a fantastic job of showing the character of who Captain America really was. By giving him that backstory of when he was all really skinny and everything like that, and how he was willing to jump onto a grenade, and how he was willing to fight for people even when he knew he didn't have it. They really introduced it so that later on we had as an audience, we had a very solid foundation on who he was and why he was such a valuable man.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another one of my favorite characters in that movie is Tommy Lee Jones as Phillips. You know, I just like Tommy Lee Jones as an actor, because I think he's I thought he was funny. I think my favorite scene is where he's trying to talk with the guy who developed the super soldier serum, and they're watching Steve try to do the physical test and just failing miserably, and he's like, "Look at that, he's making me cry."
Every PE teacher I've ever had, when they look at me.
yeah.
I was with Captain America in that moment. I was like, that's a man I could stand behind. We are the same.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of like the design of his original suit better than the design of his other suits.
It was very iconic. I really like how with a lot of Marvel things, they'll take a nod, like even with some of the shows, you know, that they'll nod at the original source material and that kind of thing, and they'll respect it. It's really cool. I like it a lot.
Really cool. And after that, we get the Avengers, awesome, which is like really awesome. Every time we rewatch it, it's still fun. It's still a lot of fun. And I like that the story is not really a big priority with this one, because it's
about how they become a team.
Yeah, I hear every favorite critic of mine, like from Movie Bob to other people, describe it as just a big party celebrating its own existence, basically. And basically Marvel taking a victory lap and saying, yeah, we did this. And I think it was cool they hired Joss Whedon to direct it, because he has experience with shows like Firefly, and he was a comic writer. He has experience writing stories about ragtag, eclectic groups of different individuals coming together for a purpose or something like that.
And over like a long period of time too, whereas other people are like, oh, we'll have like a 2 or 3 movie little series, you know, how they usually split it in, look at The Hobbit, look at different things like that. And I think that it was he did a fantastic job. I mean, honestly, this 22, is it 22 so far? Like movie Marvel arc that they've got right now is incredibly unprecedented. It's never really happened before.
But it all starts with the Avengers. That was probably when I first saw it, that was probably one of the most fun I've had in a theater in a while. And then so after Avengers comes Iron Man 3. I used to not like Iron Man 3 all that much, but I kind of really enjoy it now, because unlike the previous two, it did have a complete script, and it did have a set story, and
it's been a minute since I watched that one. I remember him. He crashed in the snow. There was a kid.
Basically,
refresh me real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, basically, it was the plot was that there's this Mandarin guy who the Mandarin who's basically causing all this trouble, and Iron Man is trying to stop him. And I kind of like the twist with the Mandarin. You know, like I used to not like it, but now I think it's friggin' hilarious. You know,
yeah, he's just the poster boy standing there like, "Hey, so I'm just an actor."
Yeah, I think my favorite practice is taking actors like Ben Kingsley, who are known for like really, really dramatic roles, and then putting him in these like really comedic roles.
It's unexpected. It takes the audience aback.
Yeah, and I like the guy's whole explanation for it. Like, he's been doing this a long time, but now that the Avengers have come about, he feels like he needs to create a supervillain, you know? And, I mean, I don't know if Iron Man 3 is great. I still think it's funny. It's funny, though. And, yeah, so not much to say about it, but I really enjoy it. And then after that came the only Marvel movie I'm comfortable with calling bad, Thor: The Dark World. You know?
Yeah, I know. Honestly, I'm kind of like, as much as I enjoyed the first Thor and stuff like that, I very much enjoy the newer incarnation of Thor, where he's a little bit more lighthearted, because it doesn't really match with his original comic character
and the Dark World. I feel like that was the most nothing Marvel movie I've ever seen.
It was filler. It was
filler.
Yeah,
it was. It really was.
It was an introduction to one of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
it served its purpose as an introduction to say, hey, one of these exists.
Yeah,
remember that this is part of a whole series.
Kat Denning just gets more annoying in that movie, and that whole thing with Natalie Portman just. I feel like she's only important for a few minutes, and then she's just not important anymore, basically.
And never even in the series anymore.
But it's fine, because after Thor 2 comes a really good one, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Which,
awesome,
which I like.
That was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, fantastic. I like that they tried to take this sort of darker turn with it. That's how you make a dark Superman movie. That's how you make a dark Superman movie.
DC Tech Notes.
Maybe. But, no, I like that it took this direction with making S.H.I.E.L.D. corrupted by Hydra and their whole explanation for it. And I like that. I don't know much about the Winter Soldier as a character in the comics, but I like what he's doing in this movie. And I like that they're taking this darker turn with the Captain America story. And I thought it set the stage for a nice. Black Widow gets more to do in that, and it introduced us to Falcon, and I really enjoyed it. Didn't it
introduce us to Black Panther at the end too?
No.
Wait,
that's the
I'm
next
thinking.
one.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
That's the next one. We'll get to that soon. Captain America: Winter Soldier was awesome, and then after that, I believe, comes Guardians of the Galaxy. Which I loved that.
I had never heard of them really before that. Like, maybe a snippet here or there, but I had never really been super into it. And when I watched it, because I was so new to it and I was so fresh-faced, it was like I was going to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the first time with no background knowledge, and I loved it. They really hit the spot when it comes to humor and storytelling and really getting it.
I think I might have heard of Star-Lord, or at the very least someone with the last name Quill, but I had never heard of Rocket Raccoon, Gamora, Drax, or Groot, or any of those.
I had heard of Rocket Raccoon before.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I saw him and I was just like, that's him?
Yeah.
He's so much better than anything I'd ever imagined.
Yeah, exactly. And I love, and I just love how it's not taking itself seriously at all, and which is kind of fine, because Captain America: Winter Soldier, even though it had its funny parts, did kind of take itself really seriously. Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, really good. And then after that comes Avengers Age of Ultron. And I kind of like it. I loved
that movie.
I like it.
I loved that
movie. It has
movie.
problems, though. Like, Honest Trailers explained it best. Like, Joss Whedon, the director, had this huge task of trying to make a standalone sequel that was just as good as the first one, but you also got to set up all this other stuff in the Marvel universe. And like, there are stuff that just doesn't work for me. Like, the romance between Hulk and Black Widow just felt very...
We don't talk about that. That never happened.
Yeah, that never happened. And
the romance that lasted an entire half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like, honestly, I hate pairing these two together, but it would make more sense for Captain America and Black Widow, because they shared more chemistry and stuff. And I thought that would have worked better, maybe. But I'm not saying I would have done it. I'm just saying if you wanted to pair her up with anybody.
Options that they had available.
But like with the Hulk, seriously?
But beauty calms the beast. Remember?
Oh gosh, that was so odd. And but I do like that Ultron is a different villain. Like, he's kind of an evil Tony Stark, basically. And
I also really liked him. The way that they set it up was the whole movie, to me, had a very biblical sense. The way it set it up as, as a Tony the God creator type of thing, and then Ultron was like a fallen Lucifer kind of angel, and then like with that that moment with him in the church when he was standing up and everything. I really liked that. Like, looking into it, I'm someone who really enjoyed, like, when it came to Thor, like, the drama of the gods, like, the heresy of kind of the religion and type of things, and I really loved it. That's why I loved Ultron as a character so much, because I sat there, and maybe I'm in the minority, but Ultron was one of my favorite Marvel villains, just because he was one of those people, or not one of those people, because of just what he stood for iconically. Like, he symbolized, like, the Tony's fallen nature and where Tony could go and all the wrong and that kind of thing.
That is kind of interesting, and it also introduced us to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and it was kind of weird for me seeing them as brother and sisters, considering they played husband and wife in that Godzilla movie. It was kind of weird.
Complete waste for them to kill him at the end. I've still never forgiven them for that.
I wish they would have given Quicksilver a little bit more personality, because I feel like with Aaron Taylor Johnson, the guy who played him, outside of Kick-Ass, I haven't really seen him in a role that gave him much personality outside of Kick-Ass.
He could have been able to really grow, and he could have been able to really expand on that Quicksilver persona and stuff like that. But
Donna's trailer's right. Fox did Quicksilver better in that X-Men Days of Future Past, but now Disney owns Fox, so I guess technically they own the better version now, so oddly enough it's weird, but after that
politics.
After Avengers Age of Ultron, we got Ant-Man, which I thought was fun. I thought Ant-Man was fun.
It was a fun movie.
I would have loved to have seen the original version we would have got, because originally this was going to be directed by a British director named Edgar Wright, who did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Baby Driver, and Shaun of the Dead, and
I haven't seen Baby Driver. I heard people saying
awesome.
It was like, man,
it's awesome. No, it's awesome. I've seen parts of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and he still gets a writing credit with his writing partner Joe Cornish on it, but it was a really fun movie. I love the Thomas the Tank Engine scene, and I think the villain is a little not very interesting again, but I feel like the guy playing Darren Cross, I forget, Corey Stoll, I feel like he's just going for broke with screaming and being angry and stuff. It's kind of funny, you know.
He's going his hardest. He's trying.
He's trying. And I like the side characters in that, like Luis and them. I love the side characters in that. And that I really wish Hope would have been given more of a role. It's kind of weird how they're hanging a lampshade over why isn't she wearing the suit, but then they're not really fixing it, because up to that point they didn't have a female superhero. So you are just asking the question, okay, why isn't Hope just
because I know when I was watching the movie, the thing I was looking for, I'm like, all right, she kicks his butt, she's smarter than him, she's better at him than things, like all these different stuff, and they're like, all right, he has to wear the suit, and I was kind of like, what? Like the end reveal where they're like, "Ooh, we also have a woman's suit," wasn't like this amazing thing for me. Where I was just like, "Oh my gosh, there's gonna be a Wasp." I was like, they had that the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
And never used it.
But no, Emma was fun, and then
it was fun. Like, I loved the side characters, like you said, and the different things. Like, it was very lighthearted. It was witty, and it was sassy, and all these different things, and I enjoyed it for that.
Yeah.
But like I said, just the only one of the biggest things that annoyed me was just about Hope's suit. I was just like,
but after Ant-Man, we got Captain America: Civil War, which great. Really awesome movie. Nice little. I feel like it would have been fine if you just called it Avengers 2.5, because it feels more like.
That's what it seriously was. That was always confusing me. I always kept referring to it as that. I'm like, the Avengers that isn't the Avengers.
Like
they came together for a practice run before the actual Avengers.
Yeah, this one feels more like an Avengers sequel than Avengers Age of Ultron, sorta, not really, but
a little bit.
Yeah, but it introduced us to Black Panther and Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
the King.
And Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I love that little twist at the end. I love the fact that the bad guy in this is just sort of a regular guy, and sort of trying to formulate this plan. And I like that he has understandable motivations, because his family got killed during Sokovia.
I think that's one of the things that the MCU really did well when it came to fleshing him out as a villain, was giving him a backstory that was not only like, oh, no wonder he's a villain, but they made him a very relatable villain. He was a villain where you're like, if I was in his shoes, would I have done that? And then looking at all the things that he had caused, you're like, is that something that I could possibly do? I mean, it really makes you like want to. I mean, he's not a villain that you hate. Like, he's a villain that you see as a villain, but he's a villain that you almost can empathize with and understand. And I think they did amazing with that. It's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And after Civil War, I believe we got Doctor Strange, which is it's a fun movie. It's
not a lot of people know about Doctor Strange. They're really good at taking these slightly smaller known
yeah,
characters.
exactly. It's the trippiest movie of the Marvel movie.
I know.
I really wish I would have seen it in 3D.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
if I had seen it in 3D, my brain would have been like a puddle on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, I don't do a lot of 3D because it hurts my eyes, and also because
same.
Yeah, and also because a lot of movies these days, it's not like Avatar where you shoot it in 3D; they're post converted to 3D, and
Avatar was the only movie I ever really like enjoyed watching in 3D. The rest of them I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. It's kind of fuzzy sometimes. My eyes hurt after.
But
it's kind of overrated.
Yeah, but Doctor Strange. Yeah, Doctor Strange was fun. I love that whole Dormammu I've come to bargain thing. Just kind of how it's meant to be sort of an epic end, but it's also kind of a funny ending because he's just gonna annoy this guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. How do I defeat you? Annoying you.
Yeah, you know that was Benedict
Tony Stark.
Yeah, you know that was Benedict Cumberbatch who was doing the voice of Dormammu as well. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't even. That's a fact I didn't even know.
Yeah.
That makes it so much better.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Again, the villain is not really much to write home about, the quote unquote love interest character just kind of disappears at the end of the second act and doesn't really show up again at the end of the movie. Rachel McAdams, she just kind of disappears afterwards and doesn't really show up again, and it just kind of left in what was the point.
And I get it and stuff why they have to have these they're sort of standalone movies because they're little pieces in this arc and stuff like that, and so they each need to have a movie format, which is harder because it's not like an episode where everything you know what I mean. But I think sometimes that they just need to drop the whole love interest thing because it doesn't work long term. I mean, like the Gamora and Star-Lord thing, because they're going to be through it and they're on the team and everything like that, that would kind of work. If they had continued the Widow and the Hulk, they're on the same team, they would have been for a minute, versus oh, I'm Natalie Portman and I'm here with Thor, and oh, look, I'm her with Doctor Strange, and those little things. They're kind of just little add-ons that don't do anything.
But other than that, I think Doctor Strange was a fun movie. I don't know how the Chiwetel Ejiofor character Mordo, who went bad at the end, I don't know how he's gonna play out. Maybe they have some future plans for him. I don't know, but yeah, Doctor Strange, fun movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is next. I like this a lot better than the first one, honestly. I think the first one's a good movie, but I like how more character-focused this is, and how it focuses on themes of, abusive fathers and sibling relationships in abusive households. There's this great video by this YouTuber named Lindsay Ellis called The Complex Feels of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I'll put a link in the description. And she does this whole video about how it really deconstructs not deconstructs, but dives into the themes of fatherhood and how that relates to Peter and Gamora, and talks about why Peter and Gamora aren't, romantically together by the end of the film, which I was honestly fine with.
I know, same here.
I
think too many people are like, oh wow, romance, they're in love, and then they're gonna get together, versus solid foundations of a relationship.
Or just friendship.
Or you know what I mean? No, even if it's a platonic relationship, you know what I mean? The relationship between characters, whether it's, romantic or platonic or friends.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a family, they're a team, and that kind of thing. And I almost enjoyed, too, how they weren't together romantically at the end. Because it made them more solid.
Yeah, it did. And I also like how that scene where Yondu is basically tearing into Rocket because he's the same person. I love that scene. And this feels just this is one of those sequels that I think is better than the first one. It's hard
to get there, too. It's a difficult thing to accomplish.
Yeah, and Ego...
I cried at the end of that.
Yeah, I mean... hard. Yeah, it is. That, and... Yeah, that ending, and I love Sylvester Stallone in this. Who doesn't love Sylvester Stallone? And I like how they had more of a role for Howard the Duck in this, And but no, it's a really good movie. Drax has some of the best lines. My one problem, and this is something Lindsay Ellis brings up in her video, is that Mantis is also obviously a product of an abusive relationship with Ego, but they treat her abuse and her psychological feelings as kind of a joke, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, she's like Stockholm syndrome. And she's someone who's stolen, raised just to help
and they treat her as the butt of a joke a lot of the times. That's how it's funny
hideous.
Or the fact that where she tries to pet Rocket for the first time, he snaps at her and they just kind of laugh at her, And I mean, she does get better as we see more of her in Infinity War, but I just feel like they treat her abuse abuse as more, like Lindsay Ellis said, they treat her abuse more as like comedy rather than, like some. But
they don't give it the kind of gravity that it deserves. They gave Quills a lot of gravity, and I feel like he
and they even
suffered
gave
less than her.
Yeah, and they even gave Gamora and Nebula's abuse a lot of gravity, and I love that Nebula turns into more of a good guy and a good woman or a good girl by the end of the movie. And and that's why I like the Guardians movies so much, because they take characters that were evil in the first one or the antagonists and develop more on them, and everyone gets more of development. Even like that guy in the first woman who had that one line, the funniest line, Captain's gotta teach stuff,
I love that. I don't think really known him from Gilmore Girls, and so seeing him in there, I was
he's the brother of the director. That's Sean. I believe that's Sean Gunn. Yeah, he's the brother's director, and he's also.
How you know these stuff.
Yeah, and he's also the stand-in for Rocket Raccoon on set, But yeah, no, he gets more development in this one, and I love that little joke with the Zune at the end, like everyone's listening to. Like I'm just like I've never seen anyone with a Zune in like years.
Exactly, seriously, it's one of those things you're like, oh, yep, that's how we're time stamping this. You can see at a glance what time frame he's from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but after Guardians Volume 2, we got Spider-Man Homecoming, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of people mad at me. I'm not a huge fan of this movie.
Don't say it ain't so, man.
No, okay. I mean, okay. Here's the thing. There are good things about it. Michael Keaton as the Vulture is a great villain. Tom Holland, I think, is a good Spider-Man. My problem is that. Again, there's not really much consequence in this movie, honestly.
Yeah, that was one thing I didn't like about it.
like that whole, and again, I know I'm referencing other people's videos, but that's a way I watch, that's how I get a lot of my opinions. I mean, I try not to...
Plus, it gives people a chance to go look on their own.
And High Top Films does a great video called Why Spider-Man Homecoming is a Bad Man Movie, and one of the things he talks about is that there is little to no consequence in this movie. Like that whole scene where Peter's on the debate team and he basically just ditches them. No one even really calls him out on it.
I did not
like that there's that debate teacher where there's that scene where Peter tries to come back to the scene and Flash is saying, no, you can't just leave and then come back, and the teacher's like, oh hey Peter, welcome back, Flash, you're an alternate again. I mean,
no, seriously, like, oh, you ditched us in the middle of a tournament, welcome back, so glad to see ya.
Yeah, even MJ at the end where she questions, where do you go all the time, Peter, just says, I don't really care, like even the movie knows that there's really no consequence, and that's why I think Spider-Man 2 is really awesome, because there is a comedic abundance of consequence in that movie, and also there's this whole thing with Aunt May, like, I mean, all I remember about her is people joking about how hot she is, which is odd because they don't know that she's usually portrayed as an older woman.
I know, seriously.
Yeah. I mean,
when I saw her there, I was like, "Where's your white hair? Getting a box?"
Well, I mean, that's not my problem. My problem, I don't mind that they made her younger, a younger person. My problem is that they just try to hang a lampshade over the fact that she's younger and prettier looking. I'm like, is that the extent of her character? Or
true, yeah. A lot of people don't really have a lot more to say about her.
But the one thing, there are things I do like. I love the fact that they turned Flash Thompson from a jock bully to a debate team guy, because I don't know if he's a jock. And I really
like how they're moving away from that stereotype of like
jock
nerdy bully. Loser, athletic jock bully
kind
of guy.
There were bullies in the nerd.
Old trope.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and there are bullies in the nerd community. Honestly, I mean, with the
advent of a girl in their nerd community. You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, and also with the rise of the internet, we've seen that there are bullies in the nerd community.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Twitter. That's why Twitter exists, basically. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I have Twitter, but that's mostly for marketing purposes. But yeah, no. So there are things I like about it. I think it's better than the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
I'm a garbage person because I'm such a Spider-Man fan that I'm like, put him in anything and I'm gonna be there. I'm their target audience for this. I love them and stuff, and I can be like, all right, like when ranking the different like Spider-Man incarnations, pretty much being like, oh, one could be better than the worst, for example, like the consequences in the first. I really liked the sass and everything of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but I knew that it wasn't really with his character. I just liked it because I liked that.
And not only that, but sometimes his sass kind of resulted in collateral damage, like that opening scene in Amazing Spider-Man 2 where he's just joking around with the Rhino guy. He's just the Rhino's just plowing into a bunch of cars, and Peter's just sitting around joking like he's Deadpool. Spider-Man is not supposed to be Deadpool.
He's supposed to care.
Yeah,
and that's the flaw they had.
And the thing is, he's not supposed to be like this ultra funny guy. His humor is is more of a psychological purpose to get him through the danger. And I feel like they balance that better in Spider-Man Homecoming. And I do like they had a little reference to Miles Morales in there with the Donald Glover guy. That guy's the Prowler, and he says, "I have a nephew." That's meant to be Miles Morales, you know.
I haven't seen Spider-Man Homecoming yet.
You haven't?
No, I need to. I've been busy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get.
Don't tell me anything.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I mean, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Actually,
it's
tell
fun.
me everything. I want to know it
fun.
all.
It's fun. It's just I'd like there to be a bit more gravitas in there.
But it's just fun.
Yeah, but I do like that there's a more diverse cast. I do like and I do like again that Flash is not a jock bully. He's part of the debate team and stuff, but he's also kind of a dick, you know. And I like that. And then, but later that year in 2017, we got Thor Ragnarok, easily the best out of the Thor movies.
Hold on, sorry, one random sick pause to be edited out. The Spider-Man Homecoming, refresh me on this one because I feel like I have seen it actually, and I might.
That was the one with Tony Stark in it. That's the one.
Oh, okay, never mind. I have seen that one.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about that next one that's coming out.
No, it's Far From Home. Far From Home.
Good.
That's Far
From
Home. No. Far From Home
out?
doesn't come out till July.
Okay, thank you. I thought I was crazy. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen
No.
all of them.
No, you're good. Yeah, but Far From Home.
I feel better now.
But Thor Ragnarok, easily the best out of the Thor movies.
I like the turn they took with Thor because he really fit in. He was more relatable.
And I love the theme in that, you know, like the whole idea that any colonialist society, the best way to fix it is to just let it die, basically. So because Asgard we found out was founded on like, you know, colonialism and just basically killing a lot of people.
Asgard is England.
Yeah, or pretty much U.S. or anything like that.
True.
Yeah, and the only way and love how Thor finds out that the only way for them to fix it is not to stop Ragnarok, but to let Ragnarok happen because Asgard was just founded on a shaky.
Set it off themselves.
Yeah, it just was just founded on a shaky foundation, and there was no way they could really save it. And so I love that theme, but it's perfectly offset. It's perfectly balanced because it's the funniest out of the Thor movies. I love Jeff Goldblum in this.
I was so surprised when I watched it because I was just like, this is what they're going with Thor? I support this wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think my favorite character has got to be Korg, you know, the rock monster. Hey, man.
I can't even do his voice, but his voice is just the most beautiful thing ever. I'm not going to say anything. I almost said something, but... or I like his final line, "Oh, Meek's dead. Meek's dead." Wait. Oh, I'm interested to hear. Okay, I'm interested to hear your thoughts after Avengers.
Yeah, like Meek's... Yeah, like, "Oh, hey, Meek's alive, guys."
Squished him.
Sorry, squished him. Hey, Meek's alive, guys. What were you saying? You know, like, and that's actually the director doing the mocap for Korg, you know, and I feel like Korg's a good thing because if they're going to introduce the Fantastic Four, they should use Korg as a reference for the Thing, you know, because the last thing just kind of looked weird, but in the 2015, plus the fact that he didn't wear any trousers was a bit of a enjoy fighting crime in your Speedo, Superman. Yeah, well, not only that, so no, Thor Ragnarok, ton of fun. After that was Black Panther, amazing.
Oh, don't get me started on that movie. Phenomenal.
Really.
I'll take seconds.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really cool. I like how it's not really about Black Panther, though. It's more about Wakanda and how Wakanda itself kind of goes through something of an arc, what with Black Panther learning how to govern it in a different way than the past kings and
moving into a new direction.
Yeah, and I like that the villain, Killmonger is probably the best villain we've got before Thanos.
Seriously.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah, he's doing all these bad things and you don't agree with it, but at the end of the day, he's kind of right.
I almost think he was better than Thanos.
Yeah,
not even gonna lie.
I mean, I can see that, but yeah, you almost kind of agree. You almost kind of do agree with him.
No, but like as quality of a villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, but
my regards to the chef.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like with Killmonger, you don't agree with what he's doing, but he is kind of right.
Yeah, you agree with why, and you can understand him, and you can relate. You're like, you're going through it wrong, but I understand why you're doing it. I would have probably done it in the same position
without killing all those people. You know,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, without killing people. Yeah, because he does some things, like, I wouldn't have wanted to kill T'Challa. I probably would have peacefully tried to present the idea to him and probably not try to arm with weapons,
Good concept,
yeah,
bad delivery.
Or
Let's try
maybe
it again,
with,
Killmonger.
yeah, exactly. Well, he can't try again because he's dead, so,
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, but...
Hey, Ant-Man, we need to use your suit again.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, I mean, which kind of made me sad, because that last line made me cry, bury me in the ocean with my ancestors, because they knew death was better than bondage. That was such a great line.
Hit home so much.
Yeah, that was so...
That was phenomenal writing, phenomenal acting.
Yeah, I mean,
phenomenal...
There were some times where the effects didn't look quite up to par. Like, the last fight did kind of look a little iffy in terms of visual effects, but I don't totally mind that. I don't totally mind that. Because you have so many visual effects artists working on these things, and sometimes they do go with something before it's finished, and I can understand, but
time constraints.
Yeah, and time constraints. Yeah, I understand that, but yeah, again, I really enjoy this. I enjoy the musical score. I enjoy the songs by Kendrick Lamar and stuff, and
it had a good soundtrack. I listened to it long after the movie ended.
Yeah,
exactly. I put it on my playlist and everything.
Yeah, exactly, and so yeah, Black Panther, really, really good movie, and then after that we get another really good Marvel movie, Infinity War, which I love.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I saw that on a $5 Tuesday. That again, despite the fact that the ending, I thought it was some of the most fun I've had in the movie.
Because of the ending. I mean, they took it for such a turn. A lot of movies aren't willing to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
It left the audience sitting there stumped, like, how could they do this? Because a lot of characters in a lot of movies, especially in like long arching series like this, whether it's a TV show or a movie series, they've got this kind of plot armor where you're
exactly.
The world's ending, but we know they're gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
The world's about to explode, but he's the main character, nothing can happen.
And Thanos is a different villain from Killmonger, because he you understand, but you don't really empathize with him the same way you empathize with Killmonger, because Thanos...
I even had trouble kind of understanding. I'm like, you're for like a lot of people have brought up, and I guess it's kind of an overused thing at this point, but like in the same way that he's like, snap, half the universe is gone, he could have been like, snap, extra resources.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
maybe like that. Maybe.
But it's just like I don't know. Like, I liked him as a villain. I liked how he moved the plot of the Avengers and everything.
Honestly,
but I was like,
honestly, you could have called this Thanos, and it would have been right, because he's the one who gets the most development in this movie.
Exactly.
And Josh Brolin, I think, is great as Thanos.
He did a wonderful job as Thanos.
And there were a lot of other good details too. Like I like how they involved the Guardians of the Galaxy in this, and I'll admit that Peter Gamora.
Where's Gamora? Who is Gamora?
Why is Gamora? Yeah.
I was talking to my boyfriend, and I was just like, for the next incarnation of Guardians of the Galaxy, it should just be Guardians of the Galaxy. Why is Gamora?
Yeah. That was actually an improv by Dave Bautista.
Really? Oh, that is phenomenal.
Yeah,
he deserves to stick around.
Yeah. That was an improv. But yeah, I just love how, because a lot of comic book movies say, oh, this is more a movie about villains, but they never really follow through on it. But this is an actual movie about the bad guy, and he actually gets what he wants, and I love that. And I love the scene where he snaps and everyone turns to dust, how there's no music, it's all just silent and stuff. And
it really gives it a gravity. I mean, honestly, when it comes to movies and stuff like that, I have such an admiration for the people making them, because they can hit you with those deliveries. They can take these emotionally charged moments from here to here, or they can take it from here to here.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Something great about that one scene is they really shot it through the roof, and they really hit home. That was an incredible cinematic scene.
I think my favorite death, honestly, was Spider-Man's death, because of just how cruel it was, sort of and. Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people crying in my showing when that happened, and just the amount of frustration you feel when it ends just with Thanos watching the sunset, and then it just cuts away. And
the bad guy needs to be punished. He can't just get away. He can't just win. He can't just destroy all these people.
Yeah, but honestly, that almost felt like an ending to an indie movie. Honestly, but no, Infinity War was awesome. After that was Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think it was like
I feel bad
for Ant-Man and the Wasp, because it was like, Avengers Infinity War! And, like, normally, if this is, like, the line of good, Ant-Man and Wasp was good, but Avengers was up here. And as a follow-up to that, it was hard for them.
Yeah,
it was a good movie, though.
But I like it, because it was kind of the fun movie you needed after Infinity War. And again, the villain is not really much, but again, it's just sort of meant to be a fun movie, and it is a fun movie. They do have more fun with the shrinking effects and stuff, and I think the thing most people really care about with this movie is the end credits scene where he gets stuck in that time loop and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he gets stuck in that time loop, and that's the thing most people remember about this probably. And then after that, we get the final one before Endgame, which is Captain Marvel. And
Ooh.
I liked Captain Marvel.
Okay, the thing is, I enjoyed Captain Marvel, and I think that it was a good movie, not a super great movie, but I think it was a good movie that served its purpose as in introducing the character, as it being a fun movie that introduced the character and kind of fleshed them out so that they could play a part in the next movie. And and for that, it was a good job, and it did a good job and stuff like that. I just don't. I know I've heard people like hating on it and stuff, and I'm like, it's not a movie to be hated on. It's a good movie. It's not fantastic. But,
I mean, I like
it wasn't Black Panther in Infinity War, but it wasn't Thor Dark World
no. And I like the fact that it's, as an origin story, it's kind of told out of order. We don't.
Yeah, exactly. It was a unique one compared to a lot of the other ones.
And I loved the twist in it, which I won't give away because this movie is still kind of fairly recent. It's and so I won't give away, but I
say is girl power.
And not only that, but I love the twist in that I'm just gonna say the bad guys are not who you think they are, basically, and I love that. And I love that twist, and I love how they had all the little references to, like, Blockbuster and stuff like
that. Yeah, exactly, and a lot of cultural references. I really love the way that Marvel interacts with their fan base.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's their little stuff like that, whether it's references to the comics, whether it's poking fun at themselves and sometimes breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
They really managed to get that interaction. Well, okay, not really breaking the fourth
wall,
but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Making funny references type things, and you're like, you know what? Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, and,
I mixed it up with Deadpool for a second. My apologies.
Yeah, I mean, but now that Marvel basically owns Deadpool now, so
I cannot wait to see what they do with the Deadpool Spider-Man gig.
Oh gosh, that's not the only thing I'm thinking of when I think of this Fox Disney.
What
deal,
else are you thinking of?
How it's just not a good thing, honestly.
Why do you say that?
Because Disney is known for gouging a lot out of certain theaters, and also the fact that I'll do this in a supplemental thing. So, yeah, that's just a digression.
It's non sequitur back.
No. Captain Marvel was awesome. I thought apparently Jude Law came in because of Robert Downey Jr. You're sort of convincing him to do this because they work together on Sherlock Holmes and stuff, and and I really enjoyed it, and it takes place in the year I was born, 95. So
same year.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I love that little Blockbuster now because, like I said in the previous video, down the street there used to be a Blockbuster. Now it's just an empty building.
I know. I didn't go to Blockbuster a lot, but we had one here in the area called Hollywood Videos, and I loved it there. It was fantastic. It was the best things ever. Like Kid in a Candy Store every time I went there.
Yeah, but now we don't have those anymore, unfortunately. But no, so that's just all, and I feel like that's just all the Marvel movies. And I feel like the best way to wrap this up is to talk about our favorite and least favorite. I feel like my favorite Marvel movie has to be. It's got to be Infinity War, honestly. I mean, I think Black Panther's a great movie. I just think that Infinity War has more rewatch value because even though Black Panther's really great, it is very heavy in terms of like tone and stuff.
And it works, I think, the most as a standalone.
Yeah,
so, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that kind of thing.
Yeah, but in terms of like my favorite, it's got to be Infinity.
And you're like, I'm satisfied with this conclusion. It was a fantastic movie. It's all done. Close the book. Yeah. I'll open it, later on eventually, but I'm not like, I need to rewatch.
Yeah. My favorite is Infinity War. What's your favorite out of all of the Marvel movies?
Honestly, my favorite one is probably Infinity War 2, and I've seen all of them. I've seen the Endgame and stuff. I'm still gonna say one of my favorites probably. I'm bad at picking favorites, but it's between Infinity War, Age of Ultron, and Black Panther, I think.
Okay. And my least favorite again is like I said, Thor the Dark World, because nothing happens, and nothing.
Yeah, kind of me too.
Yeah.
It was one of those where I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I guess so. So that's just all we have.
For least favorite, I would say Dark Worlds, but then I have like several of mine that aren't super memorable, like Tony Tony Stark. Iron Man 2 and 3. You know, they're good movies and all, but they're not ones that I really sit there and be like, oh, wow, yeah, though I remember every single detail of those. Or, you know, little things like that. But they weren't bad. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, and so that's kind of all we have to say about the Marvel movies. I will follow up with a review of Infinity War after I see it. So I will see y'all later.
All right. It was nice talking to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.